Anime fight!
Let's go!
Let-
I don't know what song that is.
Yeah! Hello and welcome to the No One Asked You podcast. For this particular series, I am joined by my wonderful co-host, ThatDarnKitteh. Kitteh and I are both going into this story completely new, with almost no knowledge of the story or world.
Each segment, we intend to cover what happens in each new chapter and discuss our experience along the way. This is Mistborn Abridged, a blind read-through, and today
The
we will be
blindest of
covering
read-throughs.
Chapter
34!
Let's go!
Let's go! Yeah, okay. As I mentioned at the end of the last episode, it was recommended to us that we do this chapter as a blind read-through. So this is the first time Kitteh and I are experiencing this chapter.
If this wasn't recommended, I think we would have landed up doing it anyway. Just
Honestly,
considering...
probably.
Yeah, because just considering how we felt at the end of that, we're just like, let's go. We have to go. Because also before this, we hadn't read for 2 weeks. We hadn't recorded for... So it's just like, no, we have to...
Guys, it was agony. So I couldn't record last session because of a joyous family event. And we have been sitting on this cliffhanger for like a week longer than we otherwise would have.
So yeah, this has to happen.
Yeah.
We're going. Okay, let's get into it.
I never wanted to be feared. If I regret one thing, it is the fear I have caused. Fear is the tool of tyrants. Unfortunately, when the fate of the world is in question, you use whatever tools are available.
Okay, just cool. Ends justify the means.
Okay, so my first thought was F you.
Yeah.
Knowing what happens. But my second thought is that kind of sounds like Kelsier a little bit. Not so much the fear part, but the use whatever tools part.
Yeah, by any means necessary. This is what we have to do. And yeah, the parallels between the two of them, the connection between the two of them continues. The golden thread, if you will.
Indeed. Dead and dying men collapsed to the cobblestones. Ska crowded the roads. Prisoners cried out, calling his name. Heat from a smoky sun burned the streets, and ash fell from the sky. Ooh, so powerful. Ash fell from the sky.
That's how we started all of this. Very good. And there was another ash fell from the sky in the previous chapter that I particularly appreciated. Yeah.
Kelsier dashed forward, flaring pewter and whipping out his daggers. He burned at him as did the Inquisitor, and they both probably had enough to last for an extended fight. Kelsier slashed twice in the hot air, striking at the Inquisitor, his arms a blur. The creature dodged amid an insane vortex of atium shadows, then swung an axe. Kelsier jumped, pewter lending his leap inhuman height, and passed just over the swinging weapon. He reached out and pushed against a group of fighting soldiers behind him, throwing himself forward. He planted both feet in the Inquisitor's face and kicked off, flipping backward in the air. The Inquisitor stumbled. Ooh. Nice, Kelsier. That cannot have been easy.
Yes, yeah. In this face. Oh god, it's good.
As Kelsier fell, he pulled on a soldier, yanking himself back. The soldier was pulled off his feet by the force of the iron pull, and he began to streak toward Kelsier. Both men flew in the air.
Okay, I'm trying to figure this out. Wait. So Kelsier fell. He pulled on a soldier, yanking himself backward. The soldier was pulled off his feet by the force of the iron pull and began to streak. So they're both just flowing. Okay.
Yeah, and I think it's less about pulling the soldier to him and more about getting him on his feet and away from the Inquisitor.
Yeah.
It just so happens that when you pull something, it comes
towards you. Yeah.
Kelsier flared iron, pulling against a group of soldiers to his right, while still pulling against the single soldier. The result was a pivot. Kelsier flew to the side, and the soldier, held as if by tether to Kelsier's body, swung in a wide arc like a ball on a chain.
Why am I laughing?
Why are you laughing? That poor soldier.
I think so. That's just... He's like a ball on a chain.
Imagine he finally gets released from the pull and he just vomits.
I'm ruining this. Let's go. Continue.
The unfortunate soldier crashed into the stumbling Inquisitor, smashing them both into the bars of an empty prison cart. The soldier toppled unconscious to the ground. The Inquisitor bounced off the iron cage, falling to its hands and knees. A line of blood ran... Yes! Yes! A line of blood ran down the creature's face, across its eye tattoos, but it looked up, smiling. It didn't seem the least bit dizzy as it stood.
Oh no.
I mean, Kelsier's getting some really good punches in, and my understanding has always been that the Inquisitors are insanely powerful and
Yes, like
inhuman.
yeah. They're insanely far above. So it's like the fact that he gets anything, that he even drew blood, is incredible.
Yeah. That's very much where I'm living right
Mhm.
now. It's like,
Yeah.
yes, the Inquisitor is still intimidating, but Kelsier's doing pretty well.
Yeah. Let's hope this continues. Kelsey's doing pretty well, famous last words. Let's see.
Oh gosh, yeah. Kelsier landed, cursing under his breath. With an incredible burst of speed, the Inquisitor grabbed the empty box-like prison cell by a pair of bars, then ripped the entire thing free of the cartwheels. Bloody hell! The creature spun and hurled the massive iron cage at Kelsier, who stood only a few feet away. There was no time to dodge. A building stood right behind him. If he pushed himself back, he'd be crushed. The cage crashed toward him, and he jumped, using a steel push to guide his body through the open doorway of the spinning cage.
Whoa.
Ooh!
That's cool.
Ooh! Oh, what?
Yeah.
That's like
Slow-mo.
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That is such a Spider-Man through the window thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Very
Ooh.
cool. Okay.
He twisted within the cell, pushing outward in all directions, holding himself in the metal cage's exact center as it smashed into the wall and bounced free. The cage rolled, then began to skid across the ground. Kelsier let himself drop, landing on the underside of the roof as the cage slowly slid to a halt. Through the bars, he could see the Inquisitor watching him amid a sea of fighting soldiers, its body surrounded by a twisting, dashing, moving cloud of Atium images. The Inquisitor nodded its head to Kelsier in a slight sign of respect. Oh.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Thanks. And yeah, I'm glad that there is respect. Yeah, that's respectable. I mean, what he just did was pretty epic. Thank you for the recognition.
I like it. Ooh.
I'm so nervous right now. Just the fight is continuing. Wants to end. Okay.
Kelsier pushed out with a yell, flaring pewter to keep from crushing himself. The cage exploded, the metal top flipping into the air, the bars ripping free and bursting outward. Kelsier pulled the bars behind him and pushed the ones in front of him, sending a stream of metal shooting toward the Inquisitor. The creature raised a hand, expertly dividing the large missiles. Kelsier, however, followed the bars with his own body, shooting himself toward the Inquisitor with a steel push. The Inquisitor pulled himself to the side, using an unfortunate soldier as an anchor. The man cried out as he was wrenched away from his duel. Wilhelm scream!
The unfortunate soldier. That's a great. Yes, there's so many of them.
Yeah. But he choked off as the Inquisitor jumped, pushing against the soldier and crushing the man to the ground.
Oh.
The Inquisitor shot into the air. Kelsier slowed himself with a push against a group of soldiers tracking the Inquisitor. Behind him, the top of the cage crashed back to the ground, throwing up chips of stone. Kelsier blasted against it and hurled himself upward after the Inquisitor. Flakes of ash streaked past him. Ahead, the Inquisitor turned, pulling against something below. The creature switched directions immediately, instead hurtling toward Kelsier. Head-on collision. Bad idea for the guy without spikes in his head. Kelsier frantically pulled against a soldier, lurching downward as the Inquisitor passed diagonally overhead. Kelsier flared pewter, then crashed into the soldier he had pulled up toward him. The two of them spun in midair. Fortunately, the soldier wasn't one of Ham's. Sorry, friend, Kelsier said conversationally, pushing himself to the side.
Sorry.
Yeah, this is such a Spider-Man thing.
Sorry, friend. Like he's talking conversationally. Yeah.
The soldier shot away, eventually smashing into the side of a building as Kelsier used him to soar over the battlefield. Also, they're using a lot of soldiers for bouncing around. noteworthy.
Mm-hmm.
The soldier shot away, eventually smashing into the side of a building as Kelsier used him to soar over the battlefield. Below, Ham's main squad had finally reached the last prison cart. Good.
Yes,
Good.
that's what we're doing here. That's what we're saying. Doxson said they're going to get the prisoners out, and then he's going to run, because that's the whole idea. Like, we know, yes, he got some punches in here, but we know this is not going to end well if it continues much longer.
Okay, but consider this. In the last chapter, the Inquisitor was willing to just kill people randomly, wantonly, just to get Kelsier back.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if they let all the prisoners run, and then Kelsier tries to retreat, therefore the Inquisitor decides to just killing people at random, it kind of defeats the
It's not
purpose of
going to
saving
stop
the
it.
prisoners
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, he's not going to run.
So,
He's already gone. He's beyond that, yeah.
this is tough. Do you think this is when Kelsier uses the 11th medal?
Hey, that would be cool. Well, we figure it out. It's a like, it's a desperate enough moment. And I mean, they're burning. They have to burn at him. It's like they have to burn at him to just counter each other the whole time. They're not really paying attention to it. It's making them react faster, at least. But yeah, they're on the at him now. And who's running out first? Oh God, I hate this. I hate this fight, and I love this fight. And let's go!
Unfortunately, several more groups of Imperial soldiers had pushed their way through the gawking Ska crowds. One of them was a large team of archers armed with obsidian-tipped arrows. Also, where's Elend?
And where's Elend? But what happened? Just remembering that Kelsier just like, great.
Kelsier cursed, letting himself fall. The archers set up, obviously preparing to fire straight into the fighting crowd. Wow! Because when you fire into a crowd, you're gonna have some friendly fire.
So what?
Brutal.
Yeah.
They would kill some of their own soldiers, but the brunt of their attack would be borne by the fleeing prisoners. Kelsier dropped to the cobblestones. He reached to the side, pulling against some discarded bars from the cage he had destroyed. They flew toward him. The archers drew, but he could see their adium shadows. Kelsier released the bars and pushed himself to the side just slightly, allowing the bars to fly between the archers and the fleeing prisoners. The archers fired. Kelsier grabbed the bars, flaring both steel and iron, pushing against one tip of each bar and pulling against the opposite tip. The bars lurched in the air, immediately beginning to spin like furious, lunatic windmills. That's a description.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, furious, lunatic windmills. That's cool. Most of the flying arrows were sprayed to the side by the spinning rods of iron. The bars clanged to the ground amid the scattered, discarded arrows. The archers stood, stupefied, as Kelsier jumped to the side again, then pulled lightly on the bars, flipping them up into the air in front of him. He pushed, sending the bars crashing toward the archers. He turned away as men screamed and died, his eyes seeking his true foe. Where is that creature hiding? He looked into a scene of chaos. Men fought, ran, fled, and died, each one bearing a prophetic adium shadow to Kelsier's eyes. In this case, however, the shadows effectively doubled the number of people moving on the battlefield and only served to increase the sense of confusion. More and more soldiers were arriving. Many of Ham's men were down. Most of the rest were retreating. Fortunately, they could simply discard their armor and blend into the Ska crowds. Okay. A part of me was hoping that Ham's soldiers might have done better. But I guess they did what they could as best they could.
Yeah.
I mean, they were successful in freeing the prisoners.
Yeah, they've definitely made a difference. And I think maybe, I know that what I was thinking is, maybe more would end up coming. That's what
I had thought. I was expecting that chain reaction thing.
Yeah.
But that's fine.
Yeah, and it's just like, okay, well, they do need to get the hell out of there, because there's just more. They really are way outnumbered. They were already outnumbered from the beginning. Now it's just like, at least they can blend into the Ska.
And look, I know that this is an execution, but where are all of these soldiers coming from if the garrison is out?
Yeah. Who are these? Did the garrison just make its way back? Is it already back? But even then, it's just...
I feel like we would have heard if they were officially back. Kelsier was more worried about that last prisoner cart. the one with Renault and Spook in it. The trajectory at which Ham's group had entered the battle had required them to move up the line of carts back to front. Trying to get to Renault first would have required passing by the 5 other carts, leaving their people still trapped. Ham obviously didn't intend to leave until Spook and Renault were free, and where Ham fought, the rebel soldiers held. There was a reason pewter arms were also called thugs. There was no subtlety to their fighting, no clever iron pulls or steel pushes. That's not what I got from Ham's lesson, Kelsier.
Yeah.
Ham simply attacked with raw strength and speed, throwing enemy soldiers out of his way, laying waste to their ranks, leading his squad of 50 men toward the final prison cart. Okay. Yeah, then again, this isn't a one-on-one fight. This is a brawl, so I can appreciate a lack of subtlety.
Yeah. It's not a duel.
50 men. Yeah. 50 men. And weren't they hiding them in groups of 100?
Yeah. So they probably lost 50.
Is that it? But some of them were dispersing as well, right? So they seem to. So I would imagine if there are still 50 around Ham, and some are dispersing, that means that less than 50% are down. That's got to, considering the circumstances, that sounds like a good ratio, right?
Yeah, like they've done really well.
Yeah. Ham simply attacked with raw strength and speed, throwing enemy soldiers out of his way, laying waste to their ranks, leading his squad of 50 men toward the final prison cart. As they reached it, Ham stepped back to fight off a group of enemy soldiers as one of his men broke the cart's lock. Kelsier smiled with pride, eyes still searching for the Inquisitor. His men were few, but the enemy soldiers seemed visibly unsettled by the Ska rebels' determination. Where is that Inquisitor? I'm scared.
Yeah, the headshot. It's like I'm just waiting. I'm very scared.
And the soldiers are unsettled by the Ska rebels' determination. That's incredible.
Yeah, actually, just a note that I actually didn't include in the last episode. When Kelsier lands on in the procession, basically, they are also kind of confused because this is so unthinkable to have a fight. Like nobody has ever challenged them in this way. So it makes sense that they're actually kind of bewildered. They're like, what the hell? This is I've been a soldier. I know that's my job, is that I'm going to fight. But who on earth would ever challenge me?
Already, and they're organized and they're decent. Already, this is one for the history books of the world.
Exactly, yeah.
Kelsier's men fought with passion. Despite their other numerous hindrances, they still had this one advantage. And this is what happens when you finally convince them to fight. This is what hides within them all. It's just so hard to release. Renault exited the cart, then stepped to the side, watching as his servants rushed free from their cage. Suddenly, a well-dressed figure burst from the melee, grabbing Renault by the front of his suit. "Where's Valette?" Elend ventured demanded, his desperate voice carrying to Kelsier's tin-enhanced ears. "Which cage was she in?" Oh my god. Renault, who is so dignified and not even human, and up comes this 21-year-old boy demanding to know where Valette is. There is something so humorous about
I'm imagining skinny Timothy Chalamet kind of guy. So it's making me
and I'm still imagining Pierce Brosnan, so this is funny.
Yeah.
"Where's Valette?" Elend venture demanded, his desperate voice carrying to Kelsier's tin-enhanced ears. "Which cage was she in?" "Kid, you're really starting to annoy me," Kelsier thought, pushing a path through the soldiers as he ran toward the cart. The Inquisitor appeared, leaping out from behind a pile of soldiers. It landed on top of the cage, shaking the entire structure, an obsidian axe grasped in each claw-like hand. The creature met Kelsier's eyes and smiled, then dropped from the top of the cage and buried an axe in Renault's back.
No!
Shit.
Wait, what does it... How
But
does
it's a Kandra.
Yeah, how does it die? Okay, what happens?
Okay. So I've always imagined that the Kandra goes into whatever kills them, or they become ghostly. But I can't imagine that would work on an Inquisitor, because Inquisitors are weird. So, oh shit, what's about to happen?
Wait, so you were thinking that the way the Kandra basically take over someone is if they are killed by someone else. So
That's
like,
kind
is
of
it
what I thought,
Renault?
yeah.
Renault killed Kandra.
Yeah, maybe like
Yeah.
Renault killed a Kandra, so the Kandra
Mhm.
took him over. I don't know.
That's so cool. I never thought of it that way. I thought it was the other way, that the Kandra has to kill the person, and that's how they take them on. I want you to be right so that something could happen here.
Yeah, but ultimately, I think a spectacle is about to happen, and Elend's going to be like literally there in front when it happens. Ooh.
That's gonna be cool. Okay, and also Vin has been watching. We don't know what's happening with Vin. Oh, okay.
Oh, also, like, rip Renault? I mean, not really, because it's the Kandra that we like, and
Yeah.
surely there's no way this is actually going to kill him. The Kandra
Please.
jerked, eyes opening wide. The Inquisitor turned toward Elend next. Kelsier wasn't certain if the creature recognized the boy. Perhaps the Inquisitor thought Elend to be a member of Renault's family. Perhaps it didn't care. Kelsier hesitated for a mere moment. The Inquisitor raised his axe to strike. She loves him. Okay. Okay. I should have said it like right before that line, but I didn't know that line was coming up. The question is he going to save Elend or not? I suspect now that he will, but
Yes,
also it sounds like the Kondra's death is less of a spectacle than I would have hoped.
Yeah, I thought something was good, like some visible thing was going to happen, like it's going to go and then something, it's going to turn into mist, or that's going to, and the Inquisitor doesn't know that he's a Kondra, so, or maybe he does, but and forgot and doesn't know that that's what's going to happen, and that would distract him. That's what we were hoping, I suppose.
Yeah.
And yes, if Kelsier didn't care about Vin caring about Elend, he would use the distraction to his advantage, but now he's trying to stop this distraction. The distraction, so he could, to buy himself time, let Elend die, but we know that he's going to be trying. Oh my gosh! Now, and is now Vin going to just jump in? Like, are we going to have Vin? This is insane. I'm scared. This might have been. I would have maybe closed the book. No, I wouldn't have. I would have just carried on, and then
Gotta put it down.
Yeah, just
stand up, pace for a bit.
Yeah,
like I don't. Steel.
Sorry, like I don't want to know, but I do want to know, and thank you for making me feel all these things. Yay!
Okay. Kelsier flared steel within, stoking it, raging it until his chest burned like one of the ash mounts. He blasted against the soldiers behind him, throwing dozens of them backward, and streaked toward the Inquisitor. He crashed into the creature as it began to swing. The discarded axe clicked against the stones a few feet away. Kelsier gripped the Inquisitor by its neck as the two hit the ground. Then he began to squeeze with pewter-enhanced muscles. The Inquisitor reached up, grabbing Kelsier's hands, desperately trying to force them apart. Marsh was right, Kelsier thought through the chaos. It fears for its life. It can be killed. It can be killed!
But I'm like, please don't. Oh God, I'm just Kelsier. I'm sorry. I know we spoke about it. Like, we can't have Kelsier die. I'm sorry. We can't. We can't.
Okay, I know I had said earlier, like, they really hyped up the Inquisitors as, like, on another level. So I kind of feel like the Inquisitor should... I'm kind of surprised that Kelsier's doing as well as he is. I'm wondering why isn't the Inquisitor just wiping the floor with Kelsier right now?
Is it because that this, like, as soon as something is shut off, like, like, this is a weakness he's found, that you just got to try and strangle them. That's their weakness. Like, like, it's a certain
There's
attack.
no way.
Yeah, you I want it to be, okay?
I mean, but but no, it's going to be a reveal.
He should be able to break Kelsier's arms off. That's how strong these guys are. So I don't want you to finish. Okay, we're done. Thank you for watching. Subscribe
no,
to
we've got to continue.
Oh.
Subscribe to ThatDarnKitteh. But we have to continue. The Inquisitor gasped raggedly, the metal spike heads protruding from its eyes mere inches from Kelsier's face. To his side, Kelsier saw Elend Venture stumble back. The girl is fine, Kelsier said through gritted teeth. She wasn't on the Renault barges. Go! Elend paused uncertainly. Then one of his bodyguards finally appeared. The boy let himself get dragged away.
Yeah, get out of here.
He doesn't try to help Renault then? He just lets himself...
Yeah.
Renault's there with an axe in his back.
He's dead.
Vallette's dad, as far... He's dead? I thought his eyes were just like... Oh, okay.
Yeah, everything's happening quickly, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
He's not helping, but he's listening to Kelsier, okay? We want him to listen, okay? Because also, if Vin is watching, we don't want Vin getting involved, although she'll probably want to get involved to help Kelsier.
Well, as far as we're aware, or at least as far as I'm aware, Vin is still on the roof with Breeze soothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but she's probably seen by now. And she's got Tin, okay? So she definitely would have heard him saying Valette, and it's not as if she would have been just distracted enough to not know, because she's taken the Valette identity so much into herself that she would answer to Valette as a name. So it would, yeah.
Can't believe I just saved a nobleman, Kelsier thought, struggling to choke the Inquisitor. You'd better appreciate this, girl. Slowly, with straining muscles, the Inquisitor forced Kelsier's hands apart. The creature began to smile again. They're so strong!
Oh, I know.
The Inquisitor pushed Kelsier back, then pulled against a soldier, yanking itself in a skidding motion across the cobblestones. The Inquisitor hit a corpse and flipped backward, up to its feet. Its neck was red from Kelsier's grip, bits of flesh torn by his fingernails, but it smiled still. Ooh.
Come on. We need to find the weakness.
Scary, zombie-like.
Just pull out one of the sparks.
Why? Yeah. Why not
with
do
your
that?
hand? But you see,
it.
he couldn't do that. Like hold one hand on the neck and then one in the spikes. Getting for the spikes. You know, like it's a tough one. But I am wondering, like, what can we do if you obviously we know that Allomancy wise you can't pull on those metal things, but you can use your hands. But then again, how the Inquisitor has to have limbs that are it has to have no limbs at that point. That's probably how that could happen.
Kelsier pushed against the soldier, flipping himself up as well. To his side, he saw Renault leaning against the cart. Kelsier caught the Conjurer's eyes and nodded slightly. Okay, so Renault was okay, so Elend just abandoned Valette's father.
Yeah.
Screw you, Elend.
Doesn't care. She's all that matters. And it's not her father. It's just...
Well, he doesn't know that.
Yeah, he doesn't
uncle.
know that.
Yeah, uncle.
His uncle.
Sorry.
Yeah.
My bad. Correction. Still, it's relative. It's important. And then there's a signal, so Conjurer's about to do something. Renault dropped to the ground with a sigh, axe in his back. Kelsier! Ham yelled over the crowd. Go, Kelsier told him. Renault is dead. Ham glanced at Renault's body, then nodded. He turned to his men, calling orders. Survivor, a rasping voice said. Kelsier spun. The Inquisitor strode forward, stepping with Pewter's lithe power, surrounded by a haze of atium shadows. Survivor of Hathsin, it said. You promised me a fight. Must I kill more Ska? Kelsier flared his metals. I never said we were done. Then he smiled. He was worried. He was pained, but he was also exhilarated. All of his life there had been a piece of him that had wished to stand and fight. He'd always wanted to see if he could take an Inquisitor.
Oh, yeah, it's not looking like it's gonna happen. But okay, like this is what he wants. Like, listen, this is an Inquisitor. This is the man that's like, I'll fight the Lord Ruler. So of course he's gonna go for the Inquisitor. So go, Kelsier. Okay, goodbye. God, I can't handle this. Let's go. This is so exciting.
Vin stood, trying desperately to see over the crowd. What? Doxson asked.
I thought I saw Elend.
Here? That sounds a bit ridiculous, don't you think? Vin flushed.
probably. Regardless, I'm going to try and get a better view.
She grabbed the side of the alleyway. Be careful, Doc said. If that Inquisitor sees you. Vin nodded, scrambling up the bricks. Once she got high enough, she scanned the intersection for familiar figures. Doxson was right. Elend was nowhere to be seen. One of the carts, the one from which the Inquisitor had ripped the cage, lay on its side. Horses stomped about, hedged in by the fighting and the ska crowds. What do you say? Dox called up.
Renault is down,
Vin said, squinting and burning tin.
Looks like an axe in his back.
That may or may not be fatal for him, Doxson said cryptically. I don't know a lot about Condra.
Condra?
What about the prisoners? Dox called.
They're all free,
Finn said.
The cages are empty. Docs, there are a lot of ska out there.
It looked like the entire population from the Fountain Square had crowded down to the small intersection. The area was in a small depression, and Vin could see thousands of ska packing the streets, sloping upward in all directions.
Interesting. Hold on. What's the significance of this? Like, that's not what ska do. They avoid. They're not there to just look and be curious. Like, are they trying to swarm to help?
I don't think so. I think it's that it was going to be an execution, so that they were
stampede.
So they were already being corralled.
Yeah. So it's just an environmental thing that's happening.
That's what I think. Yeah.
Ham's free,
Vin said.
I don't see him, alive or dead, anywhere. Spook's gone too.
And Kel? Doxson asked urgently. Vin drew in a deep breath.
He's still fighting the Inquisitor.
Kelsier flared his pewter, punching the Inquisitor, careful to avoid the flat discs of metal sticking out the front of its eyes. Why?
Because that'll break him, I suppose.
I mean, but
flat
like,
discs,
what happened?
but they're flat, yeah. So it's not like he's going to pierce himself with them.
Yeah, interesting. The creature stumbled, and Kelsier buried his fist in its stomach. The Inquisitor growled and slapped Kelsier across the face, throwing him down with one blow. Kelsier shook his head.
Kelsier just got bitch slapped, man.
What does it take to kill this thing? He thought, pushing himself up to his feet, backing away. The Inquisitor strode forward. Some of the soldiers were trying to search the crowd for Ham and his men, but many just stood still. A fight between two powerful Alamancers was something whispered about but never seen. Soldier and peasant stood dumbfounded, watching the battle with awe. He's stronger than I am, Kelsier acknowledged, watching the Inquisitor warily, but strength isn't everything. Kelsier reached out, grabbing smaller metal sources and pulling them away from their owners. Metal caps, fine steel swords, coin pouches, daggers. He threw them at the Inquisitor, carefully manipulating steel pushes and iron pulls, and kept his adium burning so that each item he controlled would have a fanning multitude of adium images in the Inquisitor's eyes. What a cool manipulation of the power.
Yeah, very, very cool. I love the smartness, just the fine, cool, let's confuse, let's dazzle. Let's use Atium against him.
In a unique way. I love the way Brandon Sanderson's mind works.
Love the magic system. Love the use of the magic system. The complex. That's it. He's looked at all the possibilities. How do you use this magic?
Yeah. The Inquisitor cursed quietly as it deflected the swarming bits of metal. Kelsier used the Inquisitor's own pushes against it, pulling each item back, whipping them around at the creature. The Inquisitor blasted outward, pushing against all the items at once, and Kelsier let them go. As soon as the Inquisitor stopped pushing, however, Kelsier pulled his weapons back. I'm also wondering, okay, I know it's going to be very difficult to coordinate with Ham, but wouldn't it be amazing if Ham could get in a punch at the Inquisitor while Kelsier's distracting? Like, how many Alamancers could you use to take on an Inquisitor? Like,
this is a monster fight, not a boss fight. Like, it's Monster Hunter here. It's a monster. So you got your tank that can be in right in front of him, and we've got support from Breeze and all of that. You do need more than one Alamancer. You can't have you can't just have just one Mistborn there.
And again, I know it's hard to communicate right now, and I know we don't want Vin being the one to enter into this fight because she is tiny, but Ham should be hopping in there.
Well,
I think.
yeah, but I think I understand as well at the same time that a mere thug taking on an Inquisitor
True.
is just like, okay, listen, we've never seen anyone fight. Okay, like the peasants are doing the same thing. Like Ham probably hasn't seen two Alamancers fight this. Okay, no, he probably has. But either way, nobody's seen this Inquisitor fight thing before. Okay,
True.
so I don't know if Ham would. I don't blame him if Ham doesn't get involved, but I can see how it would be beneficial. But then again, as well, remember Ham is just a thug, and the Inquisitor's thugness, it would be way stronger. Either way, rather than having more targets as well, is just important. It would have worked. We need It's a team effort. I think that's the only way this can happen.
Yeah. The Imperial soldiers formed a ring watching warily. Kelsier used them, pushing against breastplates, lurching back and forth in the air. The quick changes in position let him move constantly, disorienting the Inquisitor, allowing him to push his different flying pieces of metal where he wanted them. Also, they have so much adium right now.
Yeah. Well, just think about it. He gulped down quite a few vials this whole time, but and look, it's taken us a while, but I don't know how many minutes have gone past really in this, but it's still a lot of atium. Like Vin got through hers quite quickly, and that was just like a lot or a significant amount. So yeah, they both have a lot of atium at this point.
Keep an eye on my belt buckle, Doxson asked, wobbling slightly as he clung to the bricks beside him. If I fall off, give me a pull to slow the fall, eh? Okay, that's a line.
Yeah, it's cute. I like the little bit hint of humor and just how ridiculous this whole thing is in the midst of this.
Vin nodded, but she wasn't paying much attention to Dox. She was watching Kelsier.
He's incredible.
Kelsier lurched back and forth in the air, his feet never touching the ground. Bits of metal buzzed around him, responding to his pushes and pulls. He controlled them with such skill. One would have thought they were living things. The Inquisitor slapped them away with a fury, but was obviously having trouble keeping track of them all.
I underestimated Kelsier,
Vin thought.
I assumed that he was less skilled than the Mistings because he'd spread himself too thin, but that wasn't it at all. This is his speciality, pushing and pulling with expert control. And iron and steel, the metals he personally trained me in. Maybe he understood all along.
Well, that's nice. I like it.
Yeah. She did. She's like, wow, okay, I underestimated literally how good he is. So it's like, hey, put it all together though. He does, this is his specialty, but no, we want her to have all the specialties.
Yeah. Kelsier spun and flew amid a maelstrom of metal. Every time something hit the ground, he flicked it back up. The items always flew in straight lines, but he kept moving, pushing himself around, keeping them in the air, periodically shooting them at the Inquisitor. The creature spun, confused. It tried to push itself upward, but Kelsier shot several larger pieces of metal over the creature's head, and it had to push against them, throwing off its jump. An iron bar hit the Inquisitor in the face.
Yes!
The creature stumbled, blood marring its tattoos. A steel helmet struck it in the side, tossing it backward. Kelsier began to shoot pieces of metal quickly, feeling his rage and anger mount. Were you the one who killed Marsh? He yelled, not bothering to listen for an answer. Were you there when I was condemned years ago?
Yeah, we don't need you to have an answer. You can do your yelling, but focus, right? Like, I don't want us to have a villain soliloquy and all of that now, okay? We don't need that.
Don't lose yourself, Kelsier.
Don't, just focus. But he's just, his emotions are high.
The Inquisitor raised a warding hand, pushing away the next swarm of metals. It limped backward, putting its back against the overturned wooden cart. Kelsier heard the creature growl, and a sudden push of strength washed through the crowd, toppling soldiers, causing Kelsier's metal weapons to shoot away. Kelsier let them go. He dashed forward, rushing the disoriented Inquisitor, scooping up a loose cobblestone. The creature turned toward him, and Kelsier yelled, swinging the cobblestone, his strength fueled almost more by rage than by pewter. He hit the Inquisitor square in the eyes. The creature's head snapped back, smacking against the bottom of the overturned cart. Kelsier struck again, yelling repeatedly, smashing his cobblestone into the creature's face. Whew. Okay, so I really, really, really want to know what happens when you take the eye spikes out. Can you try
Yeah.
and make that happen, Kelsier, please?
I'm so scared that this is leading us up to this good feeling that I'm having of him winning. It's going to be taken from me. I don't want to turn the page. Okay.
The Inquisitor howled in pain, reaching claw-like hands for Kelsier, moving as if to jump forward. Then it suddenly jerked to a stop, its head stuck against the cart's wood. The spike tips that jutted from the back of its skull had been pounded into the wood by Kelsier's attack. Okay.
Oh.
Um,
Okay.
it suddenly jerked to a stop. Okay, am I right? Is it the eye spikes being removed that kill it?
Well, no, but does that mean it's removed, or because the spikes are in something else? Do you see? He hasn't removed the spikes. He's pounded this thing's head into the wood, and the spikes, because they stick out the back, they've gone into the wood. Does that somehow like deactivate? So it's kind of like I don't know, in Delicious in Dungeon, the golem, you take the core out, and then they deactivate, basically. They are destroyed. So we know that's a key witness. That's a huge reveal. Then key witness, what the hell? That's a key. That's a key factor that then you can then just make sure that's how you do it. Figure out ways to do it, and just put like wood blocks over the back. But otherwise, that is quite a vulnerability. If that really is their weakness, that they can just if you just knock them into things hard enough, they deactivate. Okay, I don't know, but the point is, what's happened here?
Kelsier smiled as the creature bellowed in rage, struggling to pull its head free from the wood. Okay, you're right. It's that he got caught in the wood. It's not that
they're
the
out.
ice spikes.
No.
Okay,
no. But he's stuck.
Yes, and that's funny.
Oh.
Kelsier turned to the side, seeking an item he had seen on the ground a few moments before. He kicked over a corpse, snatching the obsidian axe off the ground, its rough chipped blade glittering in the red sunlight. I'm glad you talked me into this, he said quietly.
Shut up, Kelsier! I'm just stop it! Stop talking! Okay.
Then he swung with a two-handed blow, slamming the axe head through the Inquisitor's neck and into the wood behind.
Okay, decapitation! Killing wolf!
The question is,
will this work?
Will he, if the Lord Ruler can regenerate from a skeleton, will the Inquisitor regenerate? I mean, look, regardless of whether... I think it's going to be difficult to do, but I think for science, it is imperative that Kelsier now, while the head is detached from the body, that he remove those eye spikes.
Yes,
study
that's what I'm like. Yeah, exactly. You need to know weaknesses. We need to figure out what they are. Is it a metal mind of some sort? What metal?
What kind of metal is it?
Yeah, come on, let's go. For science, but science is power. Let's go. Oh,
what is this gonna do for Kelsier's fame?
Yeah, right. He's killed an Inquisitor, boy. Let's go.
Okay. The Inquisitor's body slumped to the cobblestones. The head remained where it was, staring out with its eerie, tattooed, unnatural gaze, pinned to the wood by its own spikes. Kelsier turned to face the crowd, suddenly feeling incredibly wearied. His body ached from dozens of bruises and cuts, and he didn't know when his cloak had ripped free. He faced the soldiers defiantly, however, his scarred arms plainly visible. The survivor of Hathson, one whispered. He killed an Inquisitor, said another, and then the chanting began. The ska in the surrounding streets began to shout his name. The soldiers looked around, realizing with horror that they were surrounded. The peasants began to press in, and Kelsier could feel their anger and hope. Okay, so the peasants are rising up now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, maybe this is the chain reaction then. Maybe this doesn't have to go the way I assumed, Kelsier thought triumphantly. Maybe I don't have... Then it struck, like a cloud moving before the sun, like a sudden storm on a quiet night, like a pair of fingers snuffing a candle. Oh God, it's the Lord Ruler, isn't it?
Yeah. I thought at first, when I read, then it struck, I was like, no, he's being hit by something, right? Now it's like, no, the Lord Ruler. Okay, this is worse. It's not good. Yeah, I just thought Kelsier was going to get killed right then, but now the Lord Ruler is coming, which also means he's going to get killed right then.
An oppressive hand stifled the budding ska emotions. The people cringed and their cries died out. The fire Kelsier had built within them was too new. So close, he thought. Up ahead, a single black carriage crested the hill and began to move down from the fountain square. The Lord Ruler had arrived.
Just the fact that it's a single carriage is also sinister to me. It's just like this. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Are we finally going to learn what the Lord Ruler looks like, though?
I don't want to. Just keep him away.
Vin nearly lost her grip as the wave of depression hit her. She flared her copper, but, as always, she could still slightly feel the overpowering soothing. Lord Ruler, Doxson said, though Vin couldn't tell if it was a curse or an observation. Ska, that had been packed in to view the fight, somehow managed to make room for the dark carriage. It rolled down a corridor of people toward the corpse-littered square. Soldiers pulled back, and Kelsier stepped away from the fallen cart, moving out to face the oncoming carriage.
What is he doing?
Vin asked, turning toward Doxson, who had propped himself up on a small outcropping.
Why doesn't he run? This is no Inquisitor. This isn't something to fight.
This is it, Vin, Doxson said, awed. This is what he's been waiting for. A chance to face the Lord Ruler. A chance to prove those legends of his. Vin turned back toward the square. The carriage rolled to a stop. Is this... Okay, so now, before the carriage arrives, he needs to eat the metal. Like, this is it, right?
Yeah, that's it. If that's the plan, that's it. But I'm just like, oh god, I wish we could buff him. Like, his health, man. he's tired. He's just had this big boss fight. Look, if this was a game, we would have to kill a few more Inquisitors before we get to this fight. Now, can we take a long rest? Oh,
we need that Goku speech. People of Earth, lend me your energy.
Yeah, we need some. God, this is so... Wow, what a chapter. What a chapter.
Oh, man.
But Doxson's not wrong. This is it. He's like, fine, this is what he's been waiting for. Why do I need to run anymore? What's a better time?
This is it. This is the rebellion.
So, like, even if he dies now, which is highly likely, this is like, he's like the martyr of all martyrs, and he's the first person to ever, he is publicly taking on the Lord Ruler. That's insane. So yes, all this depression stuff, all of the soothing, but you would have to kill absolutely every single person that had seen this for it to have not spread. And he's being a legend right now. So
yes,
no matter what happens, this is a victory to me. This is the kind of thing that we were talking about, where we were like, it will not be a clear victory. There's going to be loss and things like this. Is the kind of thing we're talking about, where it's like, even I can see that him losing, but that would still be some sort of win.
Yeah. And yeah.
Let's go.
This is it, Vin, Doxson said, awed. This is what he's been waiting for. A chance to face the Lord Ruler. A chance to prove those legends of his. Vin turned back toward the square. The carriage rolled to a stop.
But...
she said softly.
The 11th metal. Did he bring it?
He must have.
Kelsier always said the Lord Ruler was his task.
Vin thought.
He let the rest of us work on the nobility, the garrison, and the ministry. But this, Kelsier always planned to do this himself.
The Lord Ruler stepped from his carriage, and Vin leaned forward, burning tin. He looked like... oh, this is it! A man. He was dressed in a black and white uniform, somewhat like a nobleman's suit, but far more exaggerated. The coat reached all the way to his feet and trailed behind him as he walked. His vest wasn't colored, but a pure black, though it was accented with brilliant white markings. As Vin had heard, his fingers glittered with rings, the symbol of his power. Oh my god, but what does he look like? Not what is...
okay. What is he wearing? Okay. Well, I guess that's all she can see. She's got to look at his face longer. I don't know. I'm so much stronger than you.
The rings proclaimed.
that it doesn't matter if I wear metal.
Handsome, with jet black hair and pale skin, the Lord Ruler was tall, thin, and confident, and he looked young. Younger than Vin would have expected, even younger than Kelsier. Called it!
Oh.
From my casting!
Mm.
He strode across the square, avoiding corpses, his soldiers pulling back and forcing the ska away. Suddenly, a small group of figures burst through the line of soldiers. They wore the mismatched armor of rebels, and the man leading them looked a bit familiar. He was one of Ham's thugs.
Oh my god! I didn't see that coming.
Figures burst through the. Whew. Excellent. Okay, people are ready to turn.
What the hell? That's insane. Okay.
For my wife, the thug said, holding up a spear and charging. For Lord Kelsier! Yelled the other four.
Oh no.
Vin thought. The Lord Ruler ignored the men. The lead rebel bellowed in defiance, then rammed his spear through the Lord Ruler's chest. Okay, so this is Ketheric Thorm now.
Mm-hmm.
In Baldur's Gate 3, when you meet Ketheric Thorm, he basically gets a weapon to the chest, and he just, like, pulls it out, and he's like, anyway.
Yeah, that's what's happening. That's what I'm expecting here. It's just like, I literally, are you done? Like, decapitation is an inconvenience for this man, okay?
Yeah. The Lord Ruler just continued to walk, passing the soldier, spear sticking all the way through his body. The rebels stared at him, then grabbed another spear from one of his friends and drove this one through the Lord Ruler's back. Again, the Lord Ruler ignored the men, as if they and their weapons were completely beneath his contempt. Okay, but, like, physically, how strong are you? Like, if you got, like, 1,000 spears through you, would you be able to move? Like, if you just let them cut you up into 1,000 different pieces, how are you gonna, like, surely you've got to regenerate, right?
Yeah, but this is now, this is now a psychological thing. He's got to let them do this to make them. The whole chapter started with fear, so he's got to show that he's got to let this happen. Be like, this is how invulnerable I am. Are you going to like? Yes, it's 1, 2, but to get 1,000 in, that means that people have to not care about how beneath him they are. They have to not care and just go for it. So it's all psychological warfare here.
Yes. The lead rebel stumbled back, then spun as his friends began to scream under an Inquisitor's axe. Okay, so the Inquisitors are here now. The other ones, yeah? That's what that means?
Yeah.
Okay. He joined them shortly, and the Inquisitor stood above the corpses for a moment, hacking gleefully. The Lord Ruler continued forward, 2 spears sticking, as if unnoticed, from his body. Kelsier stood, waiting. He looked ragged in his ripped ska clothing, yet he was proud. He didn't bend or bow beneath the weight of the Lord Ruler's soothing. The Lord Ruler stopped a few feet away, one of the spears nearly touching Kelsier's chest. Black ash fell lightly around the 2 men, bits of it curling and blowing in the faint wind. Okay, so this is samurai. This is the samurai moment, with the cherry blossoms and a light breeze in a field. I mean, it's not literally that, but I'm getting samurai.
The anime continues.
Yeah. The square fell horribly silent. Even the Inquisitor stopped his gruesome work. Vin leaned forward, clinging precariously to the rough brickwork.
Do something, Kelsier. Use the metal.
The Lord Ruler glanced. We haven't even heard if Kelsier has tested the metal. When, if ever, is he going to use it?
Yeah, exactly. And how? Like, it's a big chunk. What is he going to have time to carve it up? And does he actually have it with him? We're not sure.
I mean, we could assume he has already, but he was nervous to. The Lord Ruler glanced at the Inquisitor that Kelsier had killed. Oh gosh, I have to come up with a voice for him.
Smooth.
Okay. Oh gosh. Okay. And he's young, so he should sound young. Those are very hard to replace. His accented voice carried easily to Vin's tin-enhanced ears. Even from a distance, she could see Kelsier smile. I killed you once, the Lord Ruler said, turning back to Kelsier. You tried, Kelsier replied, his voice loud and firm, carrying across the square. But you can't kill me, Lord Tyrant. I represent that thing you've never been able to kill, no matter how hard you try. I am hope. The Lord Ruler snorted in disdain. He raised a casual arm, then backhanded Kelsier with a blow so powerful that Vin could hear the crack resound through the square. I have to read that again. He backhanded Kelsier with a blow so powerful that Vin could hear the crack resound through the square. Whew! Kelsier lurched and spun, spraying blood as he fell.
No!
Vin screamed. The Lord Ruler ripped one of the spears from his own body, then slammed it down through Kelsier's chest. Oh God! I need a moment.
I don't want to go. I don't want to look.
Look,
we knew it could happen,
this?
but we aren't. I'm gonna cry. Actually.
Are we?
No, I'm not okay. I'm not ready. I'm not ready for this, man. Like, I know that this is probably going to happen now. This is going to happen. You know, this is the hero losing. This is the hero losing. We know it's going to happen.
Let the executions begin.
Oh, fuck you.
He said, turning toward his carriage and ripping out the second spear, then tossing it aside. Chaos followed. Prompted by the Inquisitor, the soldiers turned and attacked the crowd. Other Inquisitors appeared from the square above, riding black horses, ebony axes glistening in the afternoon light. Vin ignored it all.
I can't even scream. I'm actually... Kelsier!
She screamed. It's fine. His body lay where it had fallen, spear jutting from his chest, scarlet blood pooling around him.
No, no, no.
She jumped from the building, pushing against some people and throwing herself over the massacre. She landed... What?
I'm just breathing, sorry.
Yeah, no, this is really tough. She jumped from the building, pushing against some people and throwing herself over the massacre. She landed in the center of the oddly empty square. Lord Ruler gone, Inquisitors busy killing Ska. She scrambled to Kelsier's side. Where did the Lord Ruler go? What?
Yeah, what? So I guess as she was getting down, he moved. He left.
Yeah, I don't...
What can he can just instant transmission, I suppose. Whatever. I hate him.
Apparently. There was almost nothing remaining of the left side of his face.
Jesus.
The right side. This is brutal. I am surprised, Sanderson. The right side, however, it still smiled faintly. Single, dead eye staring up into the red-black sky. Flakes of ash settled softly on his face.
Kelsier, no.
Vin said, tears streaming down her face. She prodded his body, feeling for a pulse. There was none.
You said you couldn't be killed.
She cried.
What of your plans? What of the 11th metal? What of me?
He didn't move. Vin had trouble seeing through the tears.
It's impossible. He always said we aren't invincible. But that meant me, not him, not Kelsier. He was invincible. He should have been.
Someone grabbed her and she squirmed, crying out. Time to go, kid, Ham said. His eyes examined Kelsier one last time, as if to quash any lingering hope that his friend's broken body still retained a spark of life. Check his body for the 11th metal.
Yeah.
Do that. And honestly, screw you, Kelsier. You should have tried the 11th metal.
Maybe he didn't have it. Maybe that's why it's just...
Maybe.
But,
I mean, I guess they weren't, and I guess they weren't planning a confrontation. But
exactly.
like, if it were the 11th metal, I'd never not have it on. Well, no, he can't have it on him because then others could see it. Okay, I can believe he wouldn't have it.
But also, just thinking, this makes me think back to just a line from Dune, where they figure out they're talking about whether they should kill basically kill Paul. And it's like the way that you make a messiah or something more powerful is by killing them. So this is what's happened. We know that was going to happen, and it's happened, but that does not take away how it feels. I'm literally crying.
I'm a bit surprised neither of them mentioned the destruction of the Pits of Hathsin.
Neither of who the Lord Ruler
Kelsier or the Lord Ruler.
It's just it's even more than that. I suppose those are just the reason that neither of them would have spoken about it is because this is above everything. I killed you once before. Like, there's nothing else. All the rest is petty bits of plan that had to get them to that moment.
Time to go, kid, Ham said. His eyes examined Kelsier one last time, as if to quash any lingering hope that his friend's broken body still retained a spark of life. Then he towed her away. Vin continued to struggle weakly, but she was growing numb. In the back of her mind, she heard Reen's voice.
See, I told you he would leave you. I warned you. I promised you.
The end of part 4. This book surprises me.
Mm-hmm.
That cannot be the end of Kelsier's story.
Well, it is. What do you mean by the end of Kelsier's story? Like, I mean, it's the end of his life. He's dead.
Yeah, but we're going to learn more about the 11th metal.
Oh, absolutely. And more about Kelsier.
Yeah, and we're going to learn about Kelsier. There is no doubt in my mind that we are going to meet Gemmel eventually over the course of the trilogy, which means we're going to get Kelsier stories, at least.
Oh, Kelsier is powerful enough of a character that he's going to remain a character going through. That's the whole point of his death in any case, with the scar, with everybody, with us.
Yeah.
Also, Gemmel, okay, so do you remember when Kelsier, when he was speaking to the Inquisitor, he thought, like, it was actually before he lost it and started fighting the Inquisitor, he was like, heroes or friends, everyone dead. He actually mentioned heroes that are dead, which I suppose Marsh is the hero that has died. Because if Gemmel's still alive, then that's the only other person I would think is like a hero to him.
I mean, maybe religious figures from history that Sazed has told Kelsier about as well. He considers to be heroes.
Possible. Sure. It would be cool to have Gemmel.
Yeah, I imagine something to the effect of maybe Vin is going to try and go off on her own and like study Mistborning solo, and maybe she'll seek out Gemmel for some reason.
But I mean, Vin is broken right now. Like, Reen's voice has taken over. Instead of her just being angry that this man has taken away Kelsier, that he has been taken from you. It's not that Kelsier has left. It's that he's been taken. Okay, so that's just making me lose my mind with rage. Like, I don't care how much we expected it to happen or we're worried about it happening. The fact that it's happened it was very well done, and I'm reeling right now.
Yeah.
And Vin is doing that too. And Vin she's gone numb. She thinks he's left her now. So, like, she is going to be hopeless, is what I'm expecting. Like a period of really deep, dark depression.
Yeah. I mean, this is where we're going to get Dark Vin. But
she has to get
there. I mean, and now, because we had commented in the last chapisode about how much we would have wanted the crew, while they were hanging out in the safe house, to still be planning how to move forward. And Kelsier is not there now to say, hey, no, you guys need to continue. Which brings me to my next thought, which is, can they continue?
Well, something continues. We've got more books to go.
Yeah. Well,
But
obviously.
no, of course, but and what is left for us to find out now is how can we get them to realize they can continue, and what does continuing look like?
Yeah. Wow.
Wow, this is the most epic chapter for me. I'm sorry, maybe it's, I don't know, just I'm glad we read it together. I think
Me too.
there's no other way we could have experienced this part.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine having to message after this and be like, hello, and like wait a week?
Yeah.
No, this was, thank God we did this. Thank you so much for the recommendation.
Yeah.
Very well done without spoilers. And yeah, thank you for listening.
Tuning in. Go subscribe to ThatDarnKitteh. She's doing Dune stuff on her channel.
And I will be, by this time, I might be even doing some House of the Dragon / diagram. Get it?
Kitteh, your post on YouTube made me laugh so much about your House of the Diagram.
Maybe that's my new channel name.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Kitteh, she is a source of humor and fun diagrams, so check her out. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We'll see you in part 5, Believers in a Forgotten World. Okay, thanks, bye.
Bye.
Wait, everyone, before you go, I know Kitteh and I just said our goodbyes, but I've been editing this video, and I, ever critical of myself, felt that I got so swept up in the excitement, and frankly, who could blame me? It was a very exciting chapter. Nevertheless, I felt like I didn't get to express myself as articulately as I could, and as tends to be the case, having sat with the chapter for a week now, at this point, Kitteh and I have now read. It has been a week since we recorded chapter 34. So at this point, everything past what we are saying now, we have read 35, but I wanted to throw in some of the elevator analyses that we had, some questions that popped up, some things that we noticed that I, at least, was too excited to discuss on the day that we recorded 34. So I wrote a bunch of notes, but Kitteh, do you have any thoughts in hindsight?
My thoughts, I actually didn't even go back and reread this. It was a tough chapter for me. I didn't want to re-experience it. I didn't try and figure out I didn't want to figure out what the audiobook, like I considered listening to the audiobook version of it a couple times, but that's it was, I don't know, I'm weird with books. I don't know. I'm weird with books, I suppose, that it was a very powerful chapter for me. And it's like traumatic. It takes me a while. Like, this is something I think I would have kept that chapter. I would have finished the chapter and left it for a week and not read. I really would have. I did that several times in other books where I was just too upset to continue reading. But that was a good thing. It was part of my enjoyment of the book. But yeah, I'm excited to hear your notes. Okay, I was just, I'm just sorry that I didn't have anything extra. But I think
All
we're used
good.
to that.
I very much felt like I was mourning Kelsier this week. So that's been in me. And I think you will find that in many of my notes for 34 and some for 35, I've got a lot of cope going on in some of my observations. So the first note I have is, if the Inquisitor that killed Kelsier was the one that was obsessed with Vin, will the other Inquisitors be as zealous in tracking Vin down? I think yes.
Yes. Yeah. I think I didn't even consider that as a question. It just, I feel like they're as one. They all have the same goal, and they have some knowledge of Vin. It's not just this one Inquisitor that was
they aren't all isolated from each other. They speak.
Yeah. And like, look, I know that they said he got the draw or something like that, but Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it was just that this one was just obsessed with it. It's just that this is maybe the one that was obsessed with talking about it. It's a bit
True.
of a villain. Yeah.
Okay, so the act of Kelsier saving Elend, is that redemption of a sort?
That, I mean, it was definitely a key decision. I don't know if I want to say redemption, because he didn't go, like, redemption means he went into the depths of what he wanted to be. Like, he went into all the way into Dark Calcia, and then he needed to be redeemed. So the word redemption, I don't want
Isn't
to, yeah,
quite right.
it isn't quite right. Yes, there you go. So for you, what is it?
There's something noteworthy there. It's certainly a completion of an arc, I think, for him. He went from destroy all noblemen to maybe there's a place for some noblemen. And that is certainly the culmination of it. You're right. I don't think redemption is the right word, but there's something there. If anyone has a good word for what that moment means for Kelsier, please let us know.
It's a, I know we're outsourcing this, but I'm also trying to do it now anyway. But like it's still a key moment, definitely. It's still significant. It's way significant. It's an indicator of a change. I wasn't surprised by it. I was happy about it, because he
I
does literally think she loves him. He cares about
Yes.
Vin so much, and he considers something about her. Like, it really is such a powerful moment. There we go. I'll say it's a powerful moment. Ugh, that chapter took it out of me, man.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. The other
yeah.
thing I wanted to discuss was the Lord Ruler's black and white outfit. I was so focused on what he looked like, I
Mhm.
didn't observe the black and white outfit and give that its due deference. I certainly recalled an earlier passage when Vin wore a blue dress and she wore a red beret. Is it beret? Beret's a hat. A beret's a clip, right?
Yeah.
Right. She wore a beret, and she said the narration was something to the effect of, "It is noble fashion to wear a color that contrasts
Mm.
with the main thing," and I can imagine there's some sort of connection between the Lord Ruler having those contrasting colors and influencing noble fashion in that way. We certainly know his fashion for jewelry influences the nobleman. So that was a neat
Mhm.
little connection. I'm not necessarily sure that was the intention, though I wouldn't put it past Sanderson. I
Mhm.
suspect that the black and white might be more poignant in reference to the Lord Ruler's inner conflict
Mhm.
regarding his pull to the bad and the good.
Yeah, I'm more on that. I think it's not that it can't be both. It's just that could be the core reason that he put that forth. It's very significant. He refers to it. So yeah, and I think we were both just swept away that we didn't. And also, it's the first time we see him, so
Yeah.
maybe we were like, but maybe we were like too in awe, I suppose, to even think about. But I mean, his clothing is very significant. It has to be.
Yes.
And his, like, we were focused on a bit more about on his youth, and yeah. So the black and white is, yes, it can refer to the good and bad in him. For me, my immediate reaction to that note was, oh yeah, he actually decides, because we're like, okay, the morality, that's black and white thinking. He decides what's good and what's bad. That's another thing that came
Mm.
to me. He decides. So it's like, oh, black and white thinking is not good. It's not nuanced. But even if we don't even take that path, if we just go, he decides what is good and what is bad. He is God in this universe. So
Yes. Okay. I want to play a little what if here because there's something about this chapter that rubs me as happening perfectly for what the desired outcome is and what we
Mhm.
assume the desired outcome to be. Because it was one hell of a story. It was one hell of an achievement.
Mhm.
Kelsier goes out, I think, more or less as we expected he wanted to go out. I've said
Mhm.
many times on this podcast, I think he's on an unaliving journey. And
Mhm.
I think, whether or not he significantly wanted to make a spectacle of it, I don't think we ever articulated. But and I'm trying to word this in such a way as to pretend I haven't read the next chapter yet. So bear with
Okay.
me, please. But basically, I wanted to ask, what if Yedden didn't do what he did? Right? So the reason I ask that is it seems to me that Marsh would have died regardless of the
Mhm.
situation with the army. If we choose to presume that they found Marsh through Theron,
Mhm.
through Kamen, through
Yeah.
Vin, Marsh would have died regardless of whether or not Yedden did what he did. And the chain of events, Marsh dying, setting the crew into emergency mode, would have sent Renault and Spook on their
Mhm.
trip, which again, that means they presumably would have been caught regardless. So the big difference, the first big difference that I can imagine is that ultimately the city won't have cells of soldiers in
Ready.
order, yeah,
Mhm.
ready to rescue the prisoners. Now, Kelsier didn't even consider the soldiers when he
Yeah.
leapt in, so he certainly would have gone in. But I think Renault would have died. I think Spook would have died, and most of the prisoners, certainly. And I imagine that the spectacle and Kelsier's victory would not have meant as much. It would not have been the awe-inspiring feat and
Yeah.
tragedy
No,
if the
it would have.
soldiers had died. I mean, not
Yeah.
soldiers, if the prisoners. Go on.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Look, it would have still been because of how desperate the situation is. It would have still been some sort of victory to even have fought. Okay, in the first place, for to have this attack in broad daylight from Calcia. So we can appreciate that, but all of these little threads came together to create that moment in a perfect way. I think what is great about Calcia is he's flexible in that way. He knows his end goal. So even though he's impulsive, he's like, fine. He finds the way, he makes the choice in the moment and finds a way to get what he was planning to do in any case. So I do think, yeah, I see that this wouldn't have happened the way it was supposed to if he didn't do what he did.
Which brings me
Yeah.
to my next question. Did Yedden's failure facilitate Kelsier's success? If we
Okay.
consider this event to be a success, which maybe we should
Mm-hmm.
save for the next chapter. Ponder that this week, and then we will get back to it. Yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, great. Think on that. Which leads me to the last thing I want to say. Take this as you will. Before I read, on my honor, before I read chapter 35, I sent Kitteh a prediction, and I deleted that prediction as
I saw it.
soon, yeah, I deleted it as soon as I actually did read chapter 35 because I was not incorrect.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kitteh saw it, but I think
It
she
wasn't a
came to,
spoiler.
no,
Mm-hmm.
I
No, it
hope
really
it was
wasn't.
not.
It was not. I just thought that was a speculation from you. It
Okay.
wasn't. It wasn't about. I didn't think it was about chapter 35. I thought it was just a speculation.
Okay.
So
Cool.
that's why it wasn't a spoiler for me. But
Excellent.
yeah, just one thing. I don't think we really commented at the end about the nod from the Kandra
Yes. Okay,
because he
so I
nodded.
don't want to say it because
Mhm.
this is not the
Yeah,
35
yeah, okay.
episode,
Sorry. Yeah, yeah.
but
Sorry.
I will say the
In the
prediction
next.
that we are alluding to, if you know, you know. Hey, I got to make one
Yeah,
of
we got
those.
to do it. Yay!
it's about the Khandra.
Yeah.
So, haha. Yes, and they did make a point of nodding in this chapter. Clearly, that's important.
It's a literal nod to. Anyway.
Yes. Okay. That's what I got for 34 in my reflections of the chapter this week. I tried to keep it as insulated to 34 as I could. Thank you for listening to the episode, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.